All of you are staring at me and I'm not having it.
Together Billy. Likely the person's build you use the most. I do like the viscous Billy lane. What it does is essentially similar to the Billy Rem lane, in a sense. If Billy gets parried, the cube can just come in to help him. So he can play a little bit more aggressively with the punches. Opening rounds is pretty common. It fulfills a similar role as to monster rounds for Billy. I will say though, I don't expect too much to happen in the lane. I expect what's going to happen is the Billy and the Viscous are just going to be playing for the tier 1 camp a decent amount, just due to the amount of AoE they have to clear quickly. And that's kind of the point. You'll have some of these laners in the right lane. The reason why you put more like tanky characters is just so that they can play for the tier 1 camp a little bit more aggressively. It also happens with a lot of AoE style characters. So you might see like a pocket or something in that lane as well. Occasionally, just to quickly burst out the tier 1 camp and get out. Nice job by Saint to give the solo heal in the middle of that fight. It's one of the few ways that Together doesn't take too much damage in that little fight. I do think this is a mistake. If he does go monster rounds, I think it's a mistake. He needs some type of sustain first. And I like that they pressure them away a bit. Unfortunately, because Together's low, they can't play for that tier 1 camp. Okay, so he did switch his buy to extra regen. I like this a lot better. Nice. Saint gives the solo heal again. I like this aggression. Oh, and I love that Saint also looked at him as well. He calmed probably like a 3-2-1, be like, hey, I'm going in on this Shiv. Let's go. Stealing some boxes and playing for the tier 1 respawn. Assuming that they cleared it right away. They're making sure that the wave is pushed up.
This is how we get it done.
I haven't early blasted, but it's to put some pressure on. He ends up getting 2 of them. Oh, I like this. He's going back for the 3rd. He recognizes that they're not doing anything about the camp, so he goes takes the 3rd. Oh, I like the grit buy. This just allows him to play even more aggressively in the lane. Every 60 seconds, he'll just have an extra 200 health to play with. And this just tells me that they're going to be playing this lane a little bit more aggressively. Or he's looking to fight. The amount of pressure that they're putting on here is crazy. Good kill on Cosmetical.
They got what they deserve.
Great rotation from the Viscous punch. Helping them get back to lane so they don't miss the wave. He's just between waves or just farming the camps as well. Making sure to get those respawn timers as quickly as possible. He does have ulti, so I do expect him to play somewhat aggressively. He's not playing too scared, especially with a cube, and now that the Viscous has decay as well, they're not going to play too scared. Especially with a great talent around too. Oh, he uses the audio cue to find the Venator. Great kill.
Buddy, you never had a chance in hell.
And they don't overstay their visit either. Sometimes it's so easy to just stay in and keep fighting, but then backing off as a team is smart. Soccer's just a really good early game item in general. Oh, let's pause. But Soccer's just generally a really good item in the early game because it deals a lot of flat amount of damage. Plus, it also applies some shred, which is just bonus damage for the people who are using their guns anyways. And it also just helps as a scouting tool in general as well, because the bleed will make it so you can see them through walls. So it's very useful for just chasing people down.
Let's go to Broadway. I see shit.
Great cube. The support from Saint in this lane has been pretty timely. You can't play too aggressively due to how strong Holiday is. He doesn't want to leave them the chance of getting bursted down. And like what Saint did, he immediately came back to the lane, immediately used the decay on the Shiv just to put the pressure on. I'm curious how many golden statue buffs he has at the end of the game. Again, he has his ultimate about to come up. He's not scared to play aggressive.
I see shit. I see shit.
Nice. Good stuff for the burn. Great cube. Great escape door too. That was just a great support from both Task and Saint there to help Together get out. Together wouldn't be out of that fight without it. Oh, he immediately goes over to the urn. I'm a little surprised there's not too much contesting going on for the urn pickup. But maybe everyone's just caught on reset timers. Because it's a little harder to play for the urn contest drop off, like on the drop off. Especially since you can't find them now on the map.
Party's here, pal.
Great set for the kill on the Holiday. He's most likely dead here, but he's creating a lot of space. Too bad it was just a rough fight. They get the urn though, which is another +4/2 together on golden statue buffs. And Billy's one of those frontline heroes where you're not afraid to give him money. He can do a lot with just a little bit amount, a little bit or a lot of money. That's why he's so good in the meta right now. But once he has max 2, which he does right now. The 8% max HP makes it super easy to have some sort of impact with little items, but you can scale pretty hard if he builds the right items. And you end up having a lot of burst, essentially just allowing himself to one-shot people. Spirit Snatch is just great shred, and does provide him a little bit of extra tankiness. He does have Slowing Hex queued up for his Spirit Spike, which is great into the Shiv, somewhat the Drifter, the Apollo, and the Holiday.
I see shit. I see Holiday.
Good pick on Talistic. They're going to look to contest this now. He doesn't get pushed away, which is unfortunate. He didn't have as much of an impact there as he could have, but he did take on a lot of focus from the enemy. I like the split push from Zergy. He doesn't necessarily need to be in the fight, and getting a walker is more value for him specifically. Together does look to rejoin in the fight, because if they can stall it out as much as they can. A great stall from the Geist. Good kill on the Holiday, good focus on the ones who are weak. Unfortunate parry. So they did let it get timeout, but they end up picking up some of the return kills on the aftermath. So overall, it was quite an even trade, except the fact that they lose a walker. They made the best out of a pretty bad situation. But I like how he's stealing the sinners away.
Headed to blue.
So from the Sinners and Urn, he has quite a few statue buffs. He's probably also going to be looking to pick up some of the golden statues on the way. Which actually he doesn't. Because he wants to prioritize the focus on the wave to get it out so he can play the contest on the urn.
Problems a bat can't solve. I see 7.
They lose the urn, they just decide to back off. They weren't set up properly for it. And that's plus 16 from Sinners, and it's going to be plus 20 after this one. And I wonder if Tass is going to be setting up the other one for him. Okay, he doesn't. Not too much is happening right now. There's no real objective to play for. So there's going to be a lot of farming. But the next goal from Buffenjoys is to get this mid Guardian, because granting a lot of pressure and a lot of buy power for Abrahams. So just by removing off the map, it forces them to go to the secrets. So because Abrahams knows this, that they're going to try and target it, they can take the fight on mid. And they do some things quickly enough and healthy enough, they might even be able to go mid boss. But I like how they're playing safe. They don't want to throw the game too hard. They got the 2 picks. They can just farm safely now. And the respawn timers aren't quite long enough to really warrant going mid boss. They don't even have the proper setup for it either. They don't have enough damage. Like, for example, Buffenjoys has a comp that could do it quite quickly with the Venator 7 and the amount of shred that they have with the Drifter as well. I like this little cheeky angle to try and deny some of the souls from the Sinners.
Let's go yellow.
But Buffenjoys has more of a comp that is able to rush down mid boss, whereas Abrahams doesn't. They're looking more for a team fight. Because they have the Great Talon Bird, they have Doorman. Like, they're looking to pick someone off and take a good team fight.
I see the drifter.
Like Billy Ult and Infernus Ult are just great for comboing as well. Good amount of pressure, but I'm glad they don't go too far on it. They recognize that Buffenjoys are all lurking around, and it's not going to be a good fight to take. But you can kind of see the difference in playstyle between Together and Listic. Listic will tend to have a lot more econ on the Billy, whereas Together's actually playing a little bit of, not like a lower econ, but he's giving the priority to the farm to his allies rather than Listic. Listic is much more of a selfish Billy. He'll go around taking a bunch of the Sinners, making sure he's statted. He has a bunch of money. He's not afraid to take solo waves. Good try on the attempt. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his health spike yet, so he's a little bit squishier than he wants to be. But he did end up pulling some people out of position. But they still lose the fight. It was a good initial pick on the Apollo, but they did use up a lot of resources to get that kill. But luckily, the respawn timers are really good. Buffenjoys went mid, so they can definitely look to contest this. They have Billy Ult, they have Doorman Ult, they have Infernus Ult. They can definitely win this. He should be going a little bit early. Yeah. Gets one. They get all 3. Huge Infernus Ult. Wow, and they're winning the fight. I like how he steps away to make sure he doesn't stun his teammates to allow them to chase. They get the kill on Zergy. Wow, that was an insane turnaround. That just flips the game like entirely. Buffenjoys had a commanding experience, like not a commanding lead, but commanding position. And after a great mid contest, they're able to take the advantage. I like how they're just stealing jungle. They're not playing it too. They're not rushing everything. They're taking it slow enough. They're playing their lives, making sure that they can retain the pressure, that they can utilize this mid boss. Because normally what would happen, like again, I'm going to talk about the difference between Listic and Together. Listic would probably be on these Sinners, trying to get the golden statue buffs, and just get Giga statted with all of that. But instead, Together's not doing it too much. He might go now, but he's leaving them open for his other teammates. He's queued up Tank Buster. This is really good. It pairs really well with the Rising Ram, max HP damage. The burst will essentially do like half of someone's HP, like almost immediately into the fight. Good door rotation. Forces out the Apollo ult.
I see Holiday. I see the enemy.
Way to not suck.
And I like the chasing. They made sure that their waves are pushed too before doing any of this.
I pay your salary, Hardo.
Now if they wanted, they can just look to continue pushing down these Guardians. I don't know if they go for the Shrine or not. They might go for one, but I think what they should do is they just grab the Shrines and get out. It's too risky otherwise. They don't have much rejuve left. It's much better just to steal maybe some jungle and chill out. They don't want to throw the lead that they just got. There's a tank buster by. And I like what Buff and Joyce are doing. They're catching Abraham's out on a reset, so they can look on the invade. And they end up catching Together out, and forces them to back off. So they just lose out on some of the jungle on the right side. He wanted to look for the pick there on the 7, but without the proper support from his team, he chooses not to. They're just looking for a pick. They want to try and get any sort of advantage they can. But they're not overexerting themselves for it. Because if they commit too hard, they can look to make a large team fight, which they don't necessarily want. Yeah. They have the large prio on green, so they're just looking to play for the Erd. I do expect Buff and Joyce to just give this, though. If they do decide to fight it, it'll be somewhat interesting. Okay, now that they fixed the waves, they can look to fight it afterwards, but they do just give it. They're not 100% confident where the Geist was. They don't want to take a 6v5 fight without D-Mov in it. And great pick on D-Mov. That pretty much, like, especially on a timer like this, too. The mid-boss is going to be up shortly, and Rift is spawning. So the timing couldn't be worse for Buff and Joyce, but it's fantastic for Abraham's. Good parry. Good healing as well. Allows him to stay into the fight. I like this as well. They kite away from the 7, making it hard for him to do anything in this fight. And they go on to the fight off to the right. And now that they have the few picks, they're just going to decide to go mid probably as soon as it spawns. And all these kills are staggered too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Abrams looks to reset. They're grabbing the Rift right now. The Rift will cause some pressure. And then with that pressure, they're just going to go mid. Especially with one down. This is just a 6v5 fight for Buff and Joyce if they do decide to take it. Nice counterspell from Obakim. Guy that does decide to chase. It's a little interesting. He does get out. But they got the pick on D-Mov again. And I like this from Tass as well. He has a door set up to allow for easy resets. So the people who are low, or that matter more, are just going to reset. And then because they have time, most of them will reset just to go back and just do mid. And it's just going to be a straight up better fight for them. And in classic Abraham style, they're just going to look to fight. Use the mid boss to bait a fight. I do think this is troll though. I think they just play for mid. I think they're scared of the Apollo ult, which is why they don't. But with the counter spells and whatnot, they have counter spells cubed. They can have some people play outside of the range. They shouldn't have been too scared to do it. They have Infernal Assaults as well. But instead, they allow time for Buff and Joyce to respawn. And then they end up getting one. Together uses it right away. No regions are on the map anymore, and now they're just taking the fight. So instead of an easy 3-0 that they would have had, I'm pretty sure... yeah, instead of a 3-0 for Reju crystals, they trade 2 for 1. and this fight becomes a little bit harder, but they still win in the end, which is good.
They got nothing.
And with this fight win, they should be able to take both shrines and drop. And they're just staggering the deaths
Let me
as
show
well.
you how it's done.
I also don't like that the fact that they split the shrine takes. Having your team focus one shrine actually makes it faster for your team. And they probably could have gotten a drop here if they did it. Yeah. Taz did have a door set up to help him escape. And they also didn't get the yellow walker either. So they kind of failed on multiple fronts, but they still ended up getting both shrines, which in its own is really strong. This is already gonna make the game really hard for Buff and Joyers to come back into the game. And I'm not surprised that they just decide to give up the urn. There's no reason to really force anything right now. Just take it slow and steady, steal some jungle, play for the next mid boss to end the game. Together's just here scouting right now, making sure that his carries are safe.
Headed to Greenwich.
And they're progressively just working their way into their jungle. He's also just like trying to sneak his way around to look for a pick. He almost gets the hyper line.
I see the Venator.
You can use this. But I'm not happy
And they notice D-Mob, they're immediately like shifting their focus over. And they get the pick on D-Mob again.
They will also.
I have enough arrows for
Let's get the pick on Ubikim. Infernus does die, which is a little rough. Same with Taz.
I see Holiday.
But the difference is they still have their carry up. And that's the Billy damage right there. That's why you go Tank Buster and Spear Snatch. The amount of that burst damage that Billy can do is insane. They're just staggering their kills. Yeah, the drop and get out is just really good because the next fight will just end the game now. The one thing Buff and Joyers has going for them right now are the respawn timers. They're a little bit shorter than them, so maybe they can look to gather some type of impact back. I like this from Together as well. He's taking the space to allow the Geist to get the Rift for free. And the moment they realize that they're contesting, they just back off. They don't want to fight for it because the comeback mechanic is too strong. They're not scared of the Rift minions that they can just clear quickly if they're all there. And because of the Rift, the Great Talon was able to split and get the Walker. It is at the cost of his life, and it's at a really bad timer because mid-boss is spawning. But we'll see what they do after. I like the Colossus buy. Oh, he buys Unstoppable. I like this as well, especially since they're looking to contest mid-boss. This tells me like that they are going to want to do it. Because this way the ability can just play in the center of it and look for some punches. Because the ability chain doesn't give it until afterwards. So you can maybe chain some unstops together. It's pretty rough. Yeah, I have another staggered death. But these are good picks for Buff and Joyers. Unfortunately, it's not on the people they want it to be on. They'd preferably want to have it on like the Doorman and the Infernus or the Billy. Because that's their mid contest right now. I love the patience to make it so the riposte doesn't go through. And just like this, they should be able to go mid and end the game. I like that they're going mid first. This is the safer play. Because if they just decide to run into the base without anything, they have the higher chances. They're just giving Buff and Joyers the chance to come back into the game. The Reju here is just a bit of a safety net. and they give the first punch to Together to heal him so they can look to push right away.
I see the enemy.
I pay your salary, Holiday. I can use
Adimov staggered himself again.
Let's take it. I see Holiday.
I do find it funny how the first time he uses the unstop, he does die instantly with it. But this should just be game over. That is GG's. That's a nice little style difference compared to Listic.